So let's get to story number 2. Is the government all business or is this personal? I mentioned in story number 1 about people being ignorant towards religion, and not just that, but being ignorant towards racism, people's values and systems, and how things are evolving here in America. But there's also a push for people to understand government, and it's become very. You can look at this. You can see what's happening in the White House right now in Congress, and you can see that this is not just becoming all business. This is becoming personal, and they're talking about. You see when the Democrats and Republicans are fighting it out, they're looking at laws, and they're trying to dig up as much dirt as they can on this president. They were talking about how the U.S. recorded a 160.3 billion April surplus, but they're still a lot of debt, and that debt is not being taken care of, and a lot of Americans are getting concerned, especially very prominent activists are getting concerned about the country's finances and where taxpayers' dollars have been going. And if you don't see the head of politicians being put in this big pool of who to blame. I mean, even though Trump has got a lot of support, this guy has ruffled a lot of people's feathers, and nobody knows how this is going to turn out years from now. I mean, there's things happening right now in this administration that people are saying are just unfair. This is becoming personal, and you're seeing it from each aisle that things are getting uncomfortable, and when things are getting uncomfortable like that, people get divided, and then things start breaking out. Let's hope that there's already been enough bloodshed. Let's hope that there's not any type of civil war in this country, because there's a lot going on in this administration. A lot of people are upset, and what people have to understand is this country has been divided politically for a long time because of people not understand. And then you have political strategies, social engineering by some parties. These parties are very manipulative in how they get the vote. They're very, I mean, and the voter, if the voter is not informed, and if the voter does not know anything that's happening on the big scale, they can be bamboozled in this system, and people want to feel like they're a part of something, like they're on the team. And the saddest part about American politics right now is that it's become so divisive, is that people don't know who to trust. They don't know which candidates to trust, and it's very sad when you see a generation of boomers, or of people who have been very, very active trying to maneuver their children a certain way because they have no more faith in the system. It's very sad. You look at how. Look, I mean, there's another story I was checking out that's talking about the quality of living for service members, and you look at some of these soldiers and their grievances against their medical treatment. There's a dying soldier. He's talking about fighting for the right to sue the military over medical malpractices. There's a lot happening right now in this governing body, folks. And if there's things emerging about the foundation. People are talking about the foundation of this government. They're talking about the founding fathers. They're talking about the fact that they owned slaves but wrote a constitution about equality. Folks, these things are surfacing. And when you talk about in almost every religion, in every faith, in every country's founding, there's a balance. And when that balance is being met, some things start happening. You start losing global support. You start losing allies. Next thing you know, these allies start to create an uprising. The people start to create an uprising, and then that uprising creates a new form of government. You can look throughout history, all the civilizations. You can look at the deserted lands, and you can see that in that uprising, there was something that happened in the foundation, the way the foundation was, that people may found corrupted, or they may have found it something happened, or there may have been an abundance of goods given to a people unfairly. Then you have people in this system. You have the fact that there's the rich, the poor, and there's a middle class that's been completely abused. The working class is you. We're in this tech environment, and people are losing their jobs constantly, and people are wondering about these numbers, about they're getting these numbers talking about the job growth. Folks, if you look at all these jobs that have been lost, all these businesses that are going out of business, you have to ask yourself, where did this stem from? How did it happen? They're even talking about this president being impeached. There's 10 million signatures. I mean, and you look at the fact that this president has a lot of support. They're talking about his history and how he was able to appeal to his base because of the fact that he has an entrepreneurship mind, and he's been through a lot of hoops to get to where he is today. A lot of sacrifice. They're talking about investigating his taxes. I mean, he's going through a lot to try to uphold. What you have to ask yourself at the end of the day is this a real show? Or are we just seeing the fact that there's some personal vendettas that are happening within the roots of this country? Personal. Is this business or is this personal, folks? This is what you have to ask yourself. Is it personal that people are trying to get everything that they can about the commander-in-chief? Is it personal? When you look at the last administration, the dealings that he had with certain religious organizations, and the fact that people were criticizing this president's moves, and you look at this current president, people are criticizing. They want answers, and they need to know. 38 attorney generals are just all over. Even when you talk about marijuana in the business of drugs now infiltrating government, they're talking about putting 38 attorney generals talking about putting marijuana into the money into the marijuana money into the banking system. Folks, is this a breakdown? Is this a crumbling of government right now? And people are trying to keep it up, trying to keep it afloat, and they are fighting every day. But the fact is that we're living in a country where there's naysayers. There's a lot of enemies even within this own administration, within Congress. There's a lot of people who want to see the stars and the stripes at half mast. They don't want to see the flag flying. You can look at all of the that's leading up to this point. That's led up to this point right now of how this president got into the White House. Folks, this is personal. I think a lot of it was happening right now. You listen to the language of coming from both sides. This is not about the American people anymore. It doesn't seem like it's about that. This is something that is going on between a generation, 2 generations. There's new people, new seeds growing up, and they're watching all of this chaos, and they're wondering what. You can look at the way that this new generation has no trust in policy. They don't want to be tied down. They're migrating to freer ways or money-saving ways of living. They have debt, huge amounts of debts. They're looking for leadership. There was something that happened at the school shooting where the kids just walked out. They're looking for better gun laws, They don't understand the next generation is being watered. They don't understand what's happening. They don't even understand why they have to enlist. This is a voluntary military, and they're seeing their brothers on the battlefield. They're losing faith in the mission of protecting the Constitution. How do we revive this? This is serious stuff. People don't. If you don't understand what's happening, look at what's happening around you, folks. Look at the children. Look at the way they're acting now. The way they I mean, just look at how it used to be back in the day. People had something to believe in. They're saying that the foundation of this country is crumbling before our very eyes. And the enemy is waiting. The enemy is waiting. This country is surrounded by enemies. You have North Korea, Iran. They want nukes. You look at Osama bin Laden's his old theology. America was sinners to these people. How do you revive the Stars and the Stripes? How do you get to the heart of these people? How do you unify them? And they're saying that this is personal, that this president cannot unify Americans because of his language. Look at how he's thrown things up in the face of people who have fought hard, blood, sweat, and tears. This is serious stuff. When you have veterans who don't believe in the mission, But there are a lot of veterans who want to get back on the battlefield. Folks, this is serious. Whew, I tell you, mediation is tough. But there's a lot going on in America right now. But if you want to help out in any way, all you have to do is visit www.methodinc.com. That was story number 2. Is the government all business, or is this now personal? This may be personal, folks, because we're seeing a lot of things happening inside of the media and inside of the news. We're seeing behavior on a congressional level that we've never seen before. We're seeing a divide in the pledge to serve and protect the Constitution of the United States. We're seeing two parties battling it out, and we're getting closer and closer to 2020. And folks, it is getting, I don't care what anybody says, this is getting personal. When you see things happening the way they have been happening, tankers, people showing up on officials' lawns, public officials getting put in jail for years, and you have FBI officials, formal officials, taking stabs at the president. Folks, this is serious business, and something is being kept classified, something is being kept secret. But we'll learn more as we get closer to the end of the show. If you want to contribute anywhere, you're in the media with me, Brian West, which is my supreme duty to stay in the middle, mediate, concentrate, find out what's right and what's wrong, meditate, focus, read, get knowledge, obtain for you, my audience. If you want to contribute anywhere, if you want to help out, all you have to do is visit www.methodinc.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. We are watching things happen on a global scale. Things happen within the media, within the news, and people are becoming less informed. The next generation may not understand, may not want to understand. They may be being held from understanding about the power of unity and the power of understanding that every nation, even in the biblical days, has had to one day face off, when the next generation would have to take the torch and pass it on to their generation, to their children. And we're seeing that full scale. And there's a lot happening within Congress. There's an arising, there's an awakening within the masses of the United States, and they're starting to realize that we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, is that may be at threat because of the fact that something has been going on in Washington, and there's been some secrets, some dark secrets that have been being kept by our officials, and we may be watching it happening, unfolding every week as the saga continues. If you want to contribute and do it, once again, you're in the media, me, Brian West, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methodinc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor the program.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.